Two things. First, where am I? I'm at Rocket Park. It's right outside of NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, and it's open to the public, and you get to see amazing things like this. This is Saturn V. This is the rocket that brought our astronauts to the moon. And secondly, what am I doing here? Well, what am I doing here at NASA? So I said in the last video that I was an intern, but I wasn't really being that accurate. I'm actually a co-op. These are two similar things, but they do have their differences. Both interns and co-ops work to advance human spaceflight, but the amount of time they work on those projects may differ. So interns typically only spend a summer, a semester, or a year working with NASA, and then when that amount of time is up, they may or may not be welcomed back depending on if they apply again and get in. Whereas co-ops, they're expected to complete several tours, and I'll put a link in the description below about how to apply and where to apply for internships and co-ops. So this is currently my 5th co-op tour because I did 2 internships before the co-op. And so what am I actually doing here at my co-op? What are my projects? Well, I don't know too many details about my projects yet, but I do know what missions I'm working with. So I'm working with the International Space Station. So the International Space Station is the size of a football field and it orbits around the Earth every 90 minutes. It's this amazing human-made object. Little parts of it were sent up and then assembled over many years, and now it's used as a lab. And it's just it's an amazing feat that we have folks orbiting around the Earth consecutively for over 17 years. So for that mission, I'm working on training. So this would be training that you would give to either a flight controller about details about flying the space station, or to an astronaut so that way they become more familiarized about being on the space station. The second mission that I'm completing projects for is the Orion, Orion spacecraft. And so Orion will take us to the moon, Mars, and hopefully beyond. So more specifically, what am I doing here at Rocket Park before 9 a.m. on a weekend? Well, a group of us interns and co-ops, we call ourselves co-terns, we're going to Comic-Palooza. This is like a Comic-Con. It's downtown in Houston at the George R. Brown, and there's going to be a NASA booth there. So we're going to be helping out. I heard there's going to be like VR stuff. We're going to be doing virtual reality stuff. And then at this Comic-Con, there's cosplayers, there's artists, there's people who obviously write comics, there's TV stars, movie stars. So we're going to head there next. So before I get to the VR footage and before all my light disappears, I'm going to talk about what we were doing with the VR. So what the VR was a tour of the International Space Station. So the user had a headset and they had 2 controllers. And using the controllers, you could grab objects and throw them through space, and you could see how objects flew through space and how water acted in space. If you click buttons on the controllers, you could turn them into screwdrivers, a water gun, because that's fun. You can turn it into a flashlight, you can turn it into a speedometer, and then the user could like fly through the space station, they could teleport within the space station, kind of get a tour, and then they could also teleport outside the space station, see the Milky Way, and they could also just teleport around the space station and see where all the components are. So that's what the VR was. Now we can go back to the footage.